There's a look some people have when life has taken everything from them. You know the one. The eyes stay still. The breath slows. The shoulders no longer flinch. It's the look of someone who no longer fears consequences, because consequences need something to take from you, and they have nothing left. You can feel it before they speak. That quiet, unnerving calm. That eerie steadiness. That sense that this is someone who is done negotiating with the world. People with nothing to lose don't explode. They don't shout. They don't plead. They just stop caring. And that is where the danger begins. Because when a person stops wanting to protect anything, their image, their future, their comfort, their reputation, they become capable of things even they couldn't imagine before. This is not a story about villains. It's a story about emptiness. About what happens when life strips away the last thread tethering a person to safety. And if you've ever seen that look, even once, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But let's go deeper, because this mentality doesn't appear out of nowhere. There is a road that leads to it, and the road is paved with loss. Real loss, the kind that steals things you can't replace. Sometimes it starts slowly, a small failure, a betrayal, a disappointment, a crack in the foundation. Other times, it hits in one brutal moment. A job gone, a relationship shattered, a dream collapsing all at once. When someone reaches that emotional cliff, something shifts inside them. And the shift is dangerous not because they want to cause harm, but because fear stops functioning the way it used to. Fear used to protect them. Now it feels useless. Fear used to warn them. Now it's silent. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a cliff and you're terrified of falling. But after a while, after enough pain, enough disappointment, enough blows, you start thinking, maybe falling wouldn't be worse than standing here like this. When a person reaches that mindset, they can walk into fire without blinking. They can burn a bridge they spent 10 years building. They can confront anyone, challenge anything, destroy everything that once held power over them. This is why people with nothing to lose are so unpredictable. They no longer calculate. They no longer weigh outcomes. They no longer ask, what will happen if I do this? Because the worst has already happened. You've seen it before, in people who walk away from a job without a backup plan, in someone who finally snaps after being pushed too far, in a friend who suddenly becomes reckless, or in a stranger who moves through life like a shadow no longer tied to the world. It's not that they want chaos. It's that they're no longer afraid of it. Here's the part people misunderstand. This mindset isn't born from strength. It's born from the collapse of everything that once mattered. This is where the psychology gets dark. People who believe they have nothing to lose often go through 3 silent transformations. The first is numbness. A deep, bone-level numbness where emotions don't hit the same. Fear feels distant. Pain feels muted. Stress feels unreal. They walk through life like someone who's already been hit by every storm, so the next one doesn't matter. The second is detachment. Detachment from relationships. Detachment from consequences. Detachment from self-preservation. It's that moment when someone says, I don't care what happens anymore. And they mean it, not as a threat, as a truth. And the third transformation is unpredictability. Because when someone isn't anchored to anything, not a person, not a future, not a hope, their behavior becomes impossible to predict. Not even they know what they might do. The psychology behind this is brutally simple. Fear only controls people who still have something to protect. And when someone believes they've lost everything, their sense of safety, their sense of identity, their sense of belonging, their last emotional anchor, fear loses its grip. This is why they become dangerous. Not because they want to hurt anyone, but because nothing restrains them anymore. Imagine a cage. A person stays inside because there's something precious in there. Family, a dream, a reputation, a future they don't want to risk. But once all of that is gone, the cage door is meaningless. There's nothing left to guard. And suddenly they can walk out. Walk out into anything, even if it means destruction. If you've ever been close to someone at their breaking point, you know that moment when their voice changes, when they speak with a calmness that scares you more than anger ever could. That tone means they've crossed into indifference. And indifference is more dangerous than rage, because rage still means they care. This state can turn a gentle person into a force you don't recognize. It can turn a quiet person into someone who confronts everyone. It can turn someone who once avoided conflict into someone who now walks straight into it. Here's the part people rarely talk about. When someone feels they've lost everything, they often don't fear losing themselves either. Think of the person who challenges someone twice their size, the employee who quits without a plan, the partner who finally leaves the relationship everyone thought they'd never escape, the friend who says what no one else has the courage to say. People with nothing to lose can burn down the whole room, simply because the flames can't hurt someone already covered in ashes. And yes, this mindset can make them dangerous to others, but it also makes them dangerous to themselves. Because hopelessness is not loud. It's quiet. Quiet enough to feel rational. Quiet enough to feel calm. Quiet enough to whisper, "What's the worst that can happen?" That's the voice that scares psychologists the most. Not anger. Not violence. Not shouting. Calm hopelessness. Because it's the calm of someone who has let go of the steering wheel and doesn't care where the car goes anymore. Now here's the big misconception. People think those with nothing to lose are fearless. They're not. They're people who were afraid for so long that eventually the fear burned itself out. They think these individuals are strong. They're not. They're exhausted. They think they're heartless. They're not. They're heartbroken. This is not power. It's surrender. But surrender doesn't always look like softness. Sometimes it looks like fire. And here comes the emotional core. The truth most people never see. People become dangerous when life convinces them they don't matter anymore. Because once someone believes they don't matter, nothing else matters either. That is the psychology of the nothing to lose mindset. It's not about bravery. It's not about boldness. It's about a person who has slipped out of the world's grip. Because the world stopped holding them gently. And when someone stops caring about themselves, they stop caring about consequences tied to their own well-being. This mindset changes everything, from decision-making to relationships to identity. They take risks that would terrify others. They speak truths others are too scared to voice. They confront situations most people avoid. But behind every wild choice, every reckless action, every boundary crossed, there's someone who once cared deeply, someone who tried, someone who fought, someone who held on for so long that their hands bled. And eventually, they got tired of bleeding. That's what makes them dangerous, not because they're evil, but because they're done. Done hoping, done waiting, done fearing, done protecting a life that no longer protects them back. And when a person reaches that point, you can't predict them, you can't control them, you can't threaten them, you can't scare them, you can only understand them. Because understanding is sometimes the only thing that can reach someone who feels unreachable. So now I want you to breathe and ask yourself something quietly. Have you ever been close to this mindset? Close to that edge? Close to that moment where fear stopped working? Or maybe you knew someone like this, someone whose silence scared you more than their anger ever did. Which part of this felt like a memory? Which part felt like a warning? If you recognize anything in this script, write it in the comments. Tell me your story. Tell me what part hit you the hardest. And if you want more videos that feel like this, raw, real, psychological, and human, hit subscribe. I'm here, and I see you. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.